Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of the PA High School Football Report podcast. We are sponsored by PennLive, of course. Eric Epler alongside my longtime colleague, Don Sostek. I had to do it, dude. Had to do it. All right, explain what happened.
So, as you all know, we have a great podcast here.
3-year champion.
We've won.
Not champion. But
This is our third award.
Third award.
This year we took home second place in the overall podcast, not just sports podcast, overall podcasting category, the Pennsylvania News Association Keystone Awards. But we also took third in the
Society of Professional Journalists
Yes.
Awards, where we got a plaque. And the plaque listed everybody's name. You know, Eric Epler, Brian Linder, Tom DiMartini, which had Tom's not a regular on the podcast, but it must have been a great episode with Tom on it. And then listed, lastly, just a little old. And Megan, of course, Megan.
And Megan, with Merlin,
yeah,
right?
Merlin. And then it listed just a little old contributor named Don Sostek.
Don Sostek.
And the very nice woman from the Society of Professional Journalists offered. She said, "I'll make a new plaque." I'm like, "No, I think I like this Don.
I think it sticks. Yeah.
I think it. You know, I'm the. I can't call myself the Podfather. That's what Bill Simmons calls himself. But I do think Don Corleone Sostek or something works.
Yeah.
I'm not Italian, but I think I'll roll with it. It's not as bad as after I left the University of Pittsburgh, I was credentialed to go to their preseason football luncheon. And someone texted me a picture of my credential for that luncheon when I wasn't there, and in Pitt font it said Dank Sostek. I don't know why my first name is so hard. I have a picture of it somewhere. I don't know why.
Dank.
I don't know why it's so hard to spell Dan, but apparently it's very difficult. So I'm Don now.
I wanted Don to stand up and just go, "Thank you very much. Thank you for this award.
This was a podcast I can't refuse."
The pasta was beautiful."
Yeah, it was pretty good. The pasta at the Sheraton was pretty nice.
I think wasn't Tom's last name spelled wrong too?
Yeah, it was.
I think it's D.E. Martini, and it was D.I. on the thing. But and it was a cute little plaque though.
Listen, we appreciate anybody from those societies trying to.
Oh my gosh,
give credit to people, and they're spending money on that stuff. And so when they were like, "We'll reprint all of them," I'm like, don't worry, but you don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to go through that. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we appreciate it, and it's a good. It's like when bad things happen. That's what I always say. When something bad happens in the moment, it's always going to end up being a good story. So
yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
As long as you're not dead, it's a good story.
I'm gonna use that for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple other shopkeeping things, and I'm bringing this up to you because I had a long conversation with a friend of mine who's a little bit out there when it comes to sports and coverage and things like that. And he suggested, and we got talking about the Raiders. I think it was because it was Tom Brady's, being a minority owner now on the team and them moving out of Oakland and that. He believes it. So I wanted to ask you this because I know you're a lifelong sort of Pats fan. This actually happened to me. Like I forced myself to do this. With the Chargers, who were my team, and Eric Coryell got me into the rooting for the Chargers, and so frustrated for every
Dan Fouts era.
Well, I was a big Dan Fouts fan, but I was a big Chuck Muncie fan too. I just loved the way he wore the rec specs. Remember the rec specs? And they had some great teams. But yeah, Eric Coryell was what got me in when I was a little, very very small. But anyway. He said that you're obligated. He said now they're moving to Las Vegas. Okay, the Raiders they're out. They're going to move.
Well, they're in Las Vegas.
I know that, but I'm saying he goes. But we were talking about them, and he said, as a fan, if you were a fan of the Oakland Raiders, he said now you're obligated to dump them.
Oh, I don't agree.
You're obligated to dump them and root for somebody else. He goes, anybody else, you don't have to go to the Niners because they're close. He says, but now you're obligated to just dump them. I kind of agree with him.
Really? I don't.
Yeah, I kind of agree with him. I think that's a valid point.
See, my take on that is I think that Las Vegas is close enough where you can't dump them. I think.
Well, okay, so what if the Patriots moved to, say, I don't know, Texarkana?
I think.
What would you do then?
But Las Vegas is still kind of it's not that far from San Francisco. Like I think if they move, they move to like St. Louis, then you dump them. I think if
so you would by that you would have to dump the Pats if they moved to Texarkana.
Yeah, I would dump if they moved to Texarkana.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
But if they moved within like how long is a drive from
San Francisco to Vegas?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably a good 6 hours,
but
7 hours.
It's still drivable, like you can fly and.
I mean, it's a little hop on a flight, yeah.
But I think it's close, and also it's not like they were always in Oakland to begin with. You kind of stole them at first, so it's like you stole them from Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you've been a season ticket holder, or this and that, or whatever, and he just said you basically should dump them. I'm like, it kind of makes sense.
See, I think the better thing is the Rams. The St. Louis Rams fans absolutely dumped the LA Rams. Like they went from a blue collar middle America team to. Just a place that Los Angeles actors can go to pay for suites. It's like...
Well, I mean, the Chargers only moved, 60, 70 miles up the road.
Yeah.
I dumped them.
Oh, yeah. Well...
Yeah, dump them.
It's a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
9 hours, yeah.
They don't let you drive through Death Valley for some reason.
Oh, well.
I've driven through Death Valley. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun at all.
Yeah, I'd say the Raiders just... Also, it's like... I think the Athletics are a little bit of a different situation with what they're doing. They kind of stole the team from Oakland or whatever, and I guess it gets hard for me to put. Maybe if you said the Patriots were moving to I don't know,
Hartford,
Connecticut, though that's still
right,
New England.
Still there,
New England's so. See, what if they just called them the West Coast?
How about
Raiders?
if they were moving to Rochester?
They should just call.
Is that far enough?
They should just call the Raiders the West Coast Raiders. Just let them alternate a different West Coast town every 3 years. They switch every 10 years.
Vegas can't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
That can't be.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's just an interesting point. He was adamant.
Yeah.
He's like, no. He goes, you did the right thing, Ep. You dumped
I
the Chargers.
agree
You dumped them good.
Yeah.
That's how we ended the conversation. You dumped them good. So, all right. Anyway, so if you have any thoughts, you can email Don Sostek. Your thoughts on that one, and we'll talk about them later.
Don Sostek at thefamily.org.
It's still dsostek at PennLive.com.
Yeah.
Still the same email.
Yeah, we need to see the birth certificate.
All right, let's get going here. All right, so today we're talking about big matchups. I think most people know, most fans of the Mid-Penn Conference and in District 3 know that this is a monster week when it comes to matchups, anticipated matchups for division titles. Obviously, that omnipresent, crazy power rating formula that gets you into the District 3 playoffs. So a lot of implications today. There was 3 or 4 really monster. Well, if you look around the district, there's probably 6 or 7 that have serious implications for this one. So we're going to break down a couple that are close to home in the Mid-Penn Conference. We will say before we get to those, Wilson and Manheim Township, which sit 1-2 in District 3 6A, they will meet in Neffsville at the home of the Blue Streaks in that one. That one is going to be wild. That's Friday night. And, of course...
You never count out those fighting Doug Doms.
No, Doug Dom, I mean, they lost early, and they've just been building this momentum, and they've done it really, obviously behind quarterback Maddox Gruber, but they've also done it in the Doug Dom's world of defense.
Yeah.
And that's really what I believe is kind of the hallmark of that program. Mm-hmm. And they are really stepping on that side of the ball again, too. So, Manheim Township's just been handling their business from start to finish. It all started early, with the victory over you-know-who. And it just steamrolled through. It's been a really, really good season for Mark Evans and the crew. I think you have to call them at this point the D3 favorite. Just because of what they've been doing on both sides of the football too, but it's going to be bonkers there in Neffsville on Friday night. The other one too we want to mention too is why I'm missing at Lampeter Stroudsburg. If you missed it last week, Lampeter Stroudsburg took out Twin Valley by about 40 points, which I don't think anybody saw coming. I know Twin Valley was a bit understaffed, if you will, in that one. They were losing some key guys, but that still doesn't make up a 40-point deficit.
You know why they did it? Because their alum Matthew Wright got hurt.
Yes,
he got tackled hard.
He got really
as a 49er. So I think they were taking out that energy for hashtag for Matthew Wright. So.
That's right. Yeah. But they've been really impressive. So why I'm missing it in Lampeter Strasburg Friday nights, a real zoomer. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna focus a couple on them. Dan, I'm just gonna name these games, and I'll get your initial thoughts, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe breaking down some of these matchups here. Colonial Division title, obviously on the line this week. At State College, Bishop McDevitt visits Commonwealth. I'm sorry, and Bishop McDevitt meets State College up in Happy Valley. I don't even know if people say they Happy Valley anymore, do they?
I think they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever. But if you've never been to Memorial Field in State College, it is one of the best venues out there. Real cozy, right off of 2 blocks back from Atherton. Really cozy neighborhood place, and just a great turf field there. That's pretty much our marquee event for Friday night. So what do you think about McDevitt and the Little Lions?
Well, it's got to be one of the biggest games of the year, and State College since that 7-6 loss to Harrisburg has just been playing some incredible football. Obviously they've had some of the layup games, so to speak, in the Commonwealth that they've taken care of business in, but they've also picked up some really big wins. That win over CD East was super impressive, as was, beating Cumberland Valley the way they did, especially seeing Cumberland Valley beat Harrisburg. But man, there's so much that this game is going to tell us, I think, about where these teams are, because, McDevitt had their big test early against Harrisburg, and I wouldn't say they failed it, but I'd say it was a bookmark that for later use, right? To kind of see where they are later in the year, because it's like they were going against an undermanned Harrisburg team, and they played them close, lost close at the end. It's nothing to hang your head at, but it's something that something to keep your eye on. This is a chance to show how far they've grown from that game. But man, State College is playing some awesome football right now. It's just doing everything. They feel like they know what they are, right? They feel like in the passing, that they're kind of a more pass-heavy team. Eddie Corkery's done an incredible. He's probably been one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league the last 2 years. Going against a guy that I don't think I think has been properly rated for as the state's all-time touchdown leader in Stone Saunders. I think it's a big game for Ty Salzer. And something I'm fascinated by is last week, McDevitt kind of uncorked one of their big wrinkles that they said they've been saving for later in the year, and that was something that has been kind of, a little up and down for the team this year has been their cornerback play. They've had some young players. They're putting Dominic Diaz-Ellis back there at corner now. I think they want to make sure, get him through the regular season as a one-way player. He's now playing at cornerback. He had a pick against CD East, a really good pick. Just stayed right with Santana Young. They were matching him up with Santana Young all game, and he did a great job. So I think that's a really fascinating wrinkle going against a guy like Ty Salzer. And then I'm sure on the other side, Ty Salzer was matching up with him quite a bit. Salzer now the Mid-Penn's leading receiver after last week. Just so many fascinating angles. State College, their line's been really good too. Their defense, Michael Gall's one of the best linebackers in the area. Just so much to look at. Jeff Wechter said after the game, we're not worried about division titles, we're worried about state titles, which I don't think is bluster. I think he means it, but I think this game's important for both teams as they head into playoffs.
Yeah, I agree too, and a couple of things too. Ty Salzer, I know there's tremendous amount of really, really top level 2A guys in the state. I get that, but I'm telling you, this kid has to be up there. Mm-hmm. He is dynamic on both sides. He never seems like he is out of position. He never seems like he's rushing anything. Everything is very fluid. You mentioned Eddie Corkery, and they didn't look the same when he was out for 6 quarters or whatever it was that he missed. And it's just their offense just sort of glides when he's under center, and obviously he's a dual threat guy too. Gall, of course, is back this week. He didn't play this against Carlisle, forced from the CD East ejection the week before.
That's huge. They need him.
Because he's a guy too. If you're going to go, okay, we need a downhill drive here where we need to get 4 to 5 a pop, he's your guy. Yeah. Lamar Wilson's been tremendous. But they're just two different type of runners, and so
And then you need him because McDevitt this year it's not the Stone Saunders offenses of years past.
Right.
Jeff Wechter loves the run blocking of his offensive line this year, and he loves that stable of backs with not Nazir. I feel like we might have to make a stylistic decision just because of how good the name is to call him Swoops Jones Davis, because that's all they refer to him at McDevitt is Swoops. But you have Swoops Jones Davis, Maurice Barnes, and then Jerome LaRue had a 46-yard touch. So they are going to run the ball a lot on Friday.
And LaRue basically is, in his fifth week, maybe of playing, and they've got Maurice Barnes is a guy. Yeah, they've got. It's interesting because I think they've had maybe 3 to 4 guys who could run it 15, 20 times and be fine.
Yeah,
but it's just this spreading the wealth around. I mean, you look at McDevitt's stats from week to week, and there's not really an eye gouging stat out there.
Yeah.
Maybe you get it might be on the defensive end. Maybe Lucas Lawler gets 3 sacks, and you're like, okay, you know what I mean, and that's certainly impressive. But there's so much ball
Someone
to spread
different
around.
can do it every week.
It's
Jonte
amazing.
Quick had a huge game this past. So it's a really fascinating matchup because they're teams that I think they're both pretty selfless teams too. I think that Jeff Wechter's really has Stone Saunders playing pretty selfless too. I think it takes a lot for a guy like that to be like, hey, I'm only going to drop back 20 times a game.
Right.
I don't need. And Stone, he's not being he's not looking for that deep. He's taking what the defense gives him right now, and fine with, hey, we're running the ball well. It was like I saw a quote from Kirk Cousins a couple weeks ago saying he went to the offense coordinator at halftime. They were running the ball really well. He said, let's keep running the ball. I think that's kind of the same mindset Stone's taken this year. I think he's all about winning, and the run game has been what McDevitt has leaned on this year.
Yeah, I agree completely. Absolutely. And another thing, too, is McDevitt's always been a big picture kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do believe that if one team needs a fast start in this game, it's McDevitt.
Yeah.
Because, State College, the last thing they want to get is more, is give them is more confidence because that team right now is rolling.
Out of money, I know. 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay you.
I am not rich as hell. I work hard. I scrape to get by. Donald Trump wants to give tax breaks to billionaires, but Kamala Harris has plans to help us. She's going to crack down on price gouging and cut taxes for working people like me. I voted for Donald Trump before, but this time I'm voting for Kamala.
All right, let's move on to another one. This is for the Keystone Division title. We got 2 unbeatens, and I don't know if there's anybody in the country who would have said, you know what, Mechanicsburg and Shippensburg are going to both be 9-0 when they meet in week 10.
This is like when in the college football playoff this year we got Indiana versus Pitt.
Yes.
Yeah. It's that same type of vibe, right?
It is the same type of vibe, yeah. I mean, this is obviously going down Friday night at Shippensburg. Which is one of the more interesting venues that we have.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that. They're getting a new field. Eric Faust is very happy. But what do you see in this one? I mean, like I said, 2 9-0 squads.
Yeah, I mean, what a story last week about Mechanicsburg winning that game for Isaac Dolman, who's tragically lost his father, and bringing the football back, the game ball back to him. A great job by Tom DiMartini on that story, kind of doing it on the fly.
Yes.
And that group is so close knit. I've had the pleasure. They're a really fun group to cover. I've covered them as a basketball team pretty much for the last 3 so years. A lot of that core: Josh Smith, Justin Bardo, Isaac Dolman's also part of that. It's one of those, you see this a lot when you cover high school sports. There's just these like groups of kids that sometimes come through these programs that are just flat out winners that just know how to win. It doesn't matter what sport they're playing. You could probably put Josh Smith out on a tennis court. He figure out how to win, win 3 games or something. It's just they're just such a fun group to cover. And man, that offense is explosive. Dave Heckert is just in his first year as head coach. Has just figured out some things about how to unlock Eli Ryder's game, who's really shown off as a dual threat player. Mm-hmm. Josh Smith, who kind of the numbers have tamper down a little. I think his defenses give more and more attention to him, and Isaac Dolman has kind of run the ball a lot more, but he's as explosive a wide receiver as we have in the conference. But the defense, I've said this a bunch, the defense is not getting enough credit for that Mechanicsburg team. They are an elite defensive group, too. That defensive line with guys like Colin Stair, Willie Travis has just been awesome this year. They've been one of the best stories in the year. I don't care. You can use the schedule stuff all you want. What I've always said about that stuff, I don't care what your schedule. If you're winning like 45 to 10 every week, that still says plenty to me. Because if you're not a good team, there's going to be a week where you're in like a 28-24 dogfight.
Right.
Where you turn the ball over a couple times, you make a couple mistakes. They don't make mistakes. They make big plays. It's just been awesome to watch. But then on the flip side, Shippensburg is playing like these Shippensburg teams of the past,
yes.
right? These Eric Faust teams that, you're not going to be seeing the top 10 plays nominees, right? You're just going to be seeing Janai Statham run for 8 yards. Janai Statham run for 9 yards. Mark Carruthers run for 11 yards. It's just this really relentless. It's like in a boxing match where the guy doesn't have knockout power, but he's just peppering you with jabs over and over and over again, and you're gasping for air by the end of the 5th round. So it's a really fun contrasting matchup of styles. 2 9-0 squads that have really just kind of dominated opposition the last couple weeks. I'm looking forward. I don't know who's covering it, but whoever is in for a treat because that environment's going to be raucous.
It will be, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Colin Stair, Bardo, and Travis were 3 guys that the first 3 guys I thought of when I'm thinking about this matchup because I think it's so much hinges on what their play.
Yeah.
Because of that Shippensburg offense, because they like to, grind it out and hand the ball off. We're not saying Shippensburg doesn't have big play guys. Jaden Hines has been a big play guy, even in the return game, and obviously defensively. And there's a couple other guys running around, but the way Brady and I hope I don't butcher the guy. I think I've said it, Majewski.
I think it's Majewski.
Majewski about 15 times. I think I've said it wrong, but the way he manages that offense too is very, very impressive to me. I get the sense, and I don't know this for a fact, but I get the sense that he's got a bit of leeway when it comes to what's being called. Mm-hmm. I know Eric Faust has obviously been around a long time, and but I just get that feeling. Maybe I'll ask him Friday night. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. And about Mechanicsburg too. It's just this has been a really impressive. It's been a really impressive group. Forget the season as a whole. Just from Heckard coming in, and obviously from a wrestling background, an unbelievable wrestling coach. To this 9-0 march, and just plowing everybody.
And isn't he one of your former high school football rivals, Dave Heckard?
I think he planted me. Yeah, I can't remember what. I think so.
Yeah.
But and then I'm still looking for BJ Ishmael. If you're out there, BJ Ishmael from Chambersburg,
he's got to be out there.
I got a bone to pick with you. Anyway, it was at old McDevitt Field where if you got wrenched. Rinsed pretty good, you got wrenched almost into the crowd because the field was that close to the sideline. Yeah. So anyway, BJ's Bill. I'm going to have nightmares of that guy now. Yeah, I think I was out for at least 15 to 18 seconds underneath the bench at McDevitt. Yeah. All right, so anyway, that's going to be massive. 2 9-0 squads. You're right about contrasting styles. Very interested to see what happens in that one. We got a couple more to talk about. This one has serious implications for Milton Hershey. They have to go to Roscoe Warner Field Friday night to face the now 7-2 Susquehanna Township Indians or Black Bears. Well, I don't even know what it is.
They're still the Indians. It's just the Black Bears, the mascot.
They have a mascot now, Black Bears, and we'll go with that.
Yeah.
But if you haven't heard, Susquehanna Township was forced to forfeit their Week 3 victory, their 61-10 victory over Boiling Springs, for the use of an ineligible player. Susquehanna Township self-reported the thing. Basically, they threw a ineligible player in there and a running clock late in the second quarter against Boiling Springs, and they figured, no, that's a no-no. We didn't realize it then. We realize it now. They reported it, and obviously the penalty is a forfeiture to Boiling Springs. So that changes things a little bit. And it also changed things for Milton Hershey, who was 9th prior to that forfeit.
Yeah.
And basically, I got a bunch of text messages about 7 a.m. Monday morning from different people. And it wasn't just from, that neck of the woods. It was from various people who want, at this time, first of all, a lot of people think that I'm really good at math.
Yeah.
And I can figure out just by looking at the power rankings
Eric Einstein.
who's going to
Epler.
be in and out, okay? I am not good at math, which is why I write for a living, okay? But I've been around the power rankings enough to kind of speculate and be very, very close as to what's going to happen depending on a win or loss in the upcoming week. So anyway, but there is this, and now Milton Hershey's sitting 10th. Mm-hmm. That's the point. They were started 9th, go from Boiling Springs, now the forfeiture. Now Milton Hershey is 10th. So this is almost must win. I mean, things can happen behind Milton Hershey that even if they lost to Susquehanna Township this week, that they could still be in, maybe grab the 9th or 10th spot. But a victory certainly would do it. So how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I honestly, at this point, I don't know what to think about Milton Hershey because this Logan Jerry quarterback,
This has been crazy.
this dude just shows up and just is like, I'm just gonna run for 200 yards every game as a quarterback and just be unstoppable. And it turns, I'm doing some research. I think he's a transfer from the City League in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's, from what I understand and from an article I read, his cousin, I believe Julius Chestnut or something, played in the NFL. He's good friends with Samaj Beals, who's one of the best quarterbacks,
Roman Catholic,
probably in the state's history. If you really, I think he's on the way. He's going, or in the city's history. He's on his way to becoming one of the all-time greats.
He is the career passing leader. He just passed it last week.
Yeah. So
Kyle McCord.
Yeah. So it's. Obviously, this kid's very talented,
Yes.
and he's basically he's basically CPR and Milton Hershey back into the playoff run, and now all of a sudden, and no offense to Elijah Hopkins, who's done a great job and was really good last year too for them, but Logan Jerry just kind of revitalized this team, and to the point where I just don't know what they are, like, because they haven't played a team Susquehanna Township's caliber since Logan Jerry came in, because after that Newport loss, I think everyone's like, all right, the Milton Hershey season's over. But they're right back in it now. But, man, you have to think Susquehanna Township, especially coming off that Trinity game, and then finding out, hey, we actually have 2 losses, not 1.
Right.
They're going to come out firing in this game. And I just don't know if Milton Hershey's going to have the defensive personnel to slow down Susquehanna. But it does seem like you can score against that Indians defense. So I'm gonna, if Logan Jerry comes out there and runs for like 150 yards and 3 touchdowns and throws for another 100, I'm excited for what this kid can do next year too, because I think he's going to be on a lot of our lists for breakout players to watch. I know he's not the biggest kid in the world, but it's going to be a fun one. I imagine when the lines go out, you're going to even make Susquehanna Township a favorite, but. Yeah, it should be. I might bet the over if you give me a good line.
I would say this one, it could be pinball.
Yeah.
I mean, it really could be. I mean, we're talking maybe 48-40 kind of game. I mean, it could be that crazy. But the only thing that Milton Hershey's not is a passing offense right now.
Yeah.
I mean, because Logan's been unbelievable. I think he has 11 TD runs.
Yeah.
In 2 games. I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I actually texted Coach Boger last week and said, where have you been hiding him? And he said he just needed to get ready. That's all it was. That was the whole text exchange. I'm like, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
So real quick, Dan, we got a big one on Saturday to just mid-Penn. It has nothing to do with the Commonwealth Division title, but Harrisburg and CD East for both of these teams moving into the playoffs. This is a very valuable 48 minutes of football.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. One thing about CD East is that last week in the loss of McDevitt, Leon Parson did not play running back. He played slot receiver. And my conspiracy theory here is that CD East was kind of taking the lump, taking the loss, knowing that they didn't have their, Leon, who's been one of the best running backs in the area.
Yep.
I think they're getting ready. They're trying to get him used to slot receiver and playing that position because they know Jared Porter's going to be back soon. And I think that they want to get both those guys on the field at the same time and try to figure out a way to do that. That's just my guess. I've been told I've been kind of hearing that they've thought he's been close the last couple weeks. And if Jared Porter's back, CD's outlook changes completely.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they'll be able to use him instantly. I mean, he's also a really good cornerback for them, too. But Harrisburg's going to be motivated. Played a kind of close-ish game against Central Dauphin until late when Elias Cook blew up. So I think it'll be a good game. I think that CD's desperately needs this win, though, to kind of – you really don't want to go into the playoffs losing 3 games in a row.
No, and they weren't really close. That's
No.
the thing. I mean, there's 3 really, or 2 convincing wins against them now, and obviously Harrisburg's very talented and could do the same. So, yeah, I think it's very similar with McDevitt. I think if CDs gets off to a fast start, they're fine. But, if it unravels and they're down 14-0, this one could be another blowout. So, all right, so that'll do it. Obviously, Week 10 coming up, a valuable Week 10, lots of action. Get out there and watch some football. We will, of course, bring you all the action on PennLive.com and check out our rankings and features and standings and all those good things during the week leading up. Playoffs are right around the corner, folks. We got first games in about 10, 12 days. So we'll be ready. Will you be ready? All right, for Don Sostek, I'm Eric Epler. Take care.